Good evening, fantasy fit boys and girls. We're back for a playoff pre-wind. It's a solo Brolo show, so sorry if you were looking forward to seeing someone other than me. But that means the show is normally shorter. That's a silver lining. So hopefully the audio is working. If anybody's watching live, I suppose they'll let me know. My levels are showing up, so I'm going to just assume that they're working. I suppose I could pull up the YouTube here and just check it myself. But how's everyone doing? If you're watching live, where are you watching from? How are you watching? What format? What's your favorite movie of 2025? Did you win this week? I'm stalling and just checking myself. Okay, it appears to be working. Okay, let's look at this past week results. As I emphasized during the competitions, it was a high stress week for some of us. There were, five teams vying for that last playoff spot, and or four, I should say. Five, whatever. But let's start with the Cooters Crew New and Improved Jungle Humpers. This one was essentially, or most likely, going to be winner. Gets into the playoffs. New and Improved Jungle Humpers had a strong start to the season, and they really just fell apart down the stretch. Rough go for them. But Cooters Crew, congrats. They get in as the 6th seed. Battle of the non-playoff teams. Ditka in a Box takes down Ain't No Wag. 5-9, you could do worse in your rookie season. Keep your head up there. Ain't No Wag. I know you will bounce back. But keep playing. That's not to say check out for the rest of the season. Everyone is still playing for $20 per week, so do not leave that roster sitting dormant, which someone happened to do this week, which we will get to. Drunk Santa, bad luck for them this year. A Timken type of season in which they did not make the playoffs, despite being the second highest scoring team in the league to this point. They take down Doobie Ashtray, ruining Doobie Ashtray's playoff aspirations. Sorry, Doobie Ashtray. 7-7. Could be worse. You've had worse. You've got a bevy of picks coming up next season. I know you'll bounce back as well. Timken Terrors, they sure up that number 1 seed. Taking down Patty Takes, who secures the number 1 overall pick in next year's draft, somewhere they've been before. All I'm going to say is do not take Derrick Henry number 1 overall. Slayton. Schmidt Show, they barely edge out Robo Pearson, but it is not enough to get them the first round bye. Robo Pearson, despite the loss, gets that number 2 seed. And then the big surprise of the week, the 3rd lowest scoring team in the league, the team that had to win to get in. They did so. First ever high score. They get $20 and the highest score of the season so far. Now, compared to prior seasons, that's a low highest score of the season. The season's not over. But it makes sense considering we are now a 12-team league. We're deeper. The talent is stretched thin across all the teams. We've had a lower scoring season across the board. But they broke out in a big way, getting performances from some people that have been disappointments this year, and it was at my expense. But I still eked into the playoffs despite the loss. So thank you for that, fantasy football gods. We'll just go ahead and we'll say our oh shit stat of the week. My pre-grid of the week. Excuse me. Patty Cakes, starting Hunter Henry, who is on bye at the tight end position. Now, I'm in another league that penalizes teams for starting players who are inactive. So maybe we need to introduce something, a penalty of sorts. Maybe you get docked fab dollars, fake dollars, or something like that. Maybe someone else can come up with something more creative. But for now, I'll just shame you publicly. Tisk tisk, Slayton. And then, oh shit, stat of the year. I've already touched on both of these. First, high score of the year for Boner and Sweatpants, which was also the highest score of the season to this point. And then Drunk Santa, highest scoring team or second highest scoring team to this point, misses the playoffs. So sorry. Okay, let's take a look. Also, 9 different teams have recorded high scores this year, which is pretty crazy. 9 out of 12 teams have recorded a high score. No one has more than 2. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 teams with 2 high scores. So for those 4 teams have made half of their 2026 fee back. But let's look at the playoffs. As we said, Robo Pearson, Timken Terrors enjoying a bye. Timken Terrors, we'll get to them. I'll make some playoff predictions, so to speak. But they are getting healthy at the right time. Let's start off with the instant rematch. Boner and Sweatpants, as I talked about, with the big score, getting into the playoffs, and then myself. I haven't done myself any favors at my second quarterback position. Going back to when I drafted late on the quarterback. Maybe I'll correct that next year. But nonetheless, I grinded throughout the season after starting 0-4 to get in the playoffs. So I guess I'll just keep grinding. Hopefully I win, but maybe I won't. At this point, I'm playing with house money. Considering I was not expecting to make the playoffs this year. So we'll see what happens there. Cooters Crew, Schmidt Show, both well-deserved teams. Schmidt Show's been solid throughout the season. Cooters Crew has had some bad luck, underperformers, but it goes out and makes that trade for Christian McCaffrey. It was a little dicey there, trades for Christian McCaffrey, and then he has a bye in the final week of the regular season, or of the regular fantasy season. It would have sucked if he hadn't gotten into the playoffs after making that big trade. But now he gets him to bolster his roster. I think this will be a close, probably low-scoring game. A lot of rough matchups for a lot of players out there. A lot of good players. A lot of boomer best players on the side of Cooters Crew. I think this could be a close, low-scoring affair. I'm rooting but for both teams, so I'm not going to make a prediction there. I'm not going to make any predictions. All I'm going to say is I think Timken Terrors is by far the team to beat. As I said, O'Marion, Hampton, and Bucky Irvin getting healthy at the exact right time for them. They are scary. And then they have the best 2 quarterbacks for fantasy purposes on their roster. They have Jamar Chase, who could go for 50 fucking points any given week. I feel like Timken is due because they've had several solid teams that they've had bad luck with over the last couple of years. They're probably due for a championship, but anything can happen. So this is basically playing the fucking lottery. And then you have your consolation bracket. Drunk Santa, Doobie Ashtray earning buys in that. Nice try, Jacob, according to Coach Schmidt. But, that's the thing about this season, having a lot of parity. No one-loss teams. Still some solid teams in the consolation bracket, all playing for money. So keep at it. We'll figure out a punishment if you leave any inactive players on your roster for next year, but just something to keep in mind. Okay, I think that's going to do it for this week. It's a short solo brolo pre-wind, pretty straightforward. Drama coming in the playoffs. Who do you guys think's going to win? Like and subscribe, comment.